Questions?
Mayor, why running again? What made you do that?
I think I just said a lot of it. No, you know what? Number one, I will tell you this. I love my job, and I hope it shows. We have such great momentum right now in Omaha, and it's about a fourth term. It's all about trust. It's about momentum, and it's about results. And I think you can see all of the things that we have achieved in my last, well, 2.5 terms, but there is so much more that we want to keep moving forward. There is a saying that cities never sit still. You are either moving forward and changing, or you are declining and going backwards. We want to be that city that continues to move forward and develop. And so that's why I'm running. I'm the person to get that done.
Mayor, before your election, there's a November race. Are you going to vote for Donald Trump for president?
Why are we talking about the presidential race?
I think people would like to know how the mayor's going to vote for the president.
Well, let's see who the candidates are. Let's see who they are first, okay? But I'm a Republican, and I vote Republican. You know that, Joe Jordan.
So then you would vote for Donald Trump if he's on?
If Donald Trump is the candidate, I'm voting for Donald Trump.
Do you think the November election will have any play on what happens in Omaha later on?
I don't think so at all. You know, we're announcing now, and I think in all fairness that I need to announce now. People ask me, I can't go through the grocery store without somebody saying, are you running again? So I think in all fairness, I need to announce now. I don't think it's going to have what's happening in the May primary and the November election are going to have any effect on the city of Omaha elections. I really don't.
Did you ever reach a point where you were thinking, I've done enough, maybe I should sit aside and, enjoy life a little bit more now?
I enjoy life now, Roger. I mean, again, I love what I do, and I'm excited to go to work every day. I have some of my staff is here today. I have the best staff and the best directors I think the city of Omaha has ever had. And, it excites me to go to work every day. I definitely have another 4 years in me, and I want to do it again. I just think of the progress we have made, the trust that we have built. That makes a big difference in the progress that's going forward. When we talk about some of these big projects we have going and the philanthropic help that we have had to get it done, it's unique in the United States. When I used to go to meetings with other mayors, they were amazed at the amount of partnerships, public-private partnerships, that we have developed, my team has developed, with the private sector. And we get so much private dollars. That's because of the trust that we have developed and the success that we have shown people. We can get these things done. Look at the riverfront. I mean, that's pretty amazing. $400 million of private money, and the city put in 60. Look at the library. They have exceeded their goal. The new library at 72nd and Dodge, $150 million building, they have exceeded their fundraising goal. And those that are donating know that that library is going to be a city-owned and operated library. This is really unique, and that's built on trust. And I think that that's really important to remember. We have the momentum, we have success that we can show, and people trust what we are doing. That's going to keep us going forward.
Mayor, you govern a blue city, more registered Democrats.
I do.
Mm-hmm. Have you been that good, or is the Omaha Democratic Party just that bad?
Joe Jordan, you never surprise me. No, you know what? I want to say that what the job we are doing is that good. I do want to say that. Because you know what? When I became mayor the first time in 2013, I said, I'm going to be the mayor for everyone. Everyone in Omaha. I didn't care your political party, the color of your skin. I didn't care what your gender is. I will represent you, and I will represent all of you. And I think people see that. And I think people see that with our administration. I'll be honest with you, the people that work in my office, I have about 19 people that work in my office, I don't know half of their political party. I hire them because they're good and because they represent Omaha well and they work hard. And so I think people see that. I think people see that in elections, and I think people see our progress and what we have done. We've been very honest with people. And, there's a lot of independence also. And our campaign is very strategic, and we work really, really hard, and we tell people what we're going to do, and we get it done.
Mayor, last year, the sales and restaurant tax revenue brought in $29 million more than expected into Omaha. Do we ever expect to repeal the restaurant tax, or is that money beneficial to spend on projects like the OPD headquarters?
You know, the restaurant tax was imposed over 10 years ago. During the Suttle administration, I was on the city council then. And he also, Mayor Suttle, raised property taxes quite a bit. I promised that I was going to reduce the mayor's taxes. After of studying what was going on and listening to the people of Omaha, their number one issue was property taxes. And we have reduced property taxes. Like I said, we've reduced them 8.5%, and I'm going to reduce it again in 2025 because we just pretty much finished up with that budget. The restaurant tax is bringing in more and more and more money every year. We predict in 2025 it'll bring in about $42 million a year, the restaurant tax. It certainly has not affected negatively the restaurant business, certainly not. All that money, that's an occupation tax, it goes into the general fund. The general fund goes to fund every department. So that if I would take $42 million out of the general fund budget right now, it would really hurt our fire and police department because fire and police are 2/3 of our entire budget. So no, I have no intention to try to eliminate the restaurant tax because it's, number one, it's not hurting the industry, and it's bringing in a lot of revenue into our general fund that goes to fund all of our city departments. People are still focused on property tax, and so am I.
Do you expect a streetcar to be a message that gets across to voters and either galvanize or deter them?
I don't think the streetcar will be an issue at all in my campaign. I really don't. I think, the more that we get out and we talk about the streetcar, the benefits, how it's being funded, how it's going to run, how it'll affect downtown, we can turn almost every person that is a naysayer or undecided into a supporter. I think if we just get the message out, again, of the benefits of it and how it's being funded, people come on board and they're either neutral or they support it. So I don't think it's going to be an issue at all. And I think it's going to bring great development and promise to downtown. I said earlier that by the end of this year, we'll have $1.2 billion worth of development along the streetcar line. When Todd Hested announced Central Park Plaza a couple weeks ago, he said this would not happen without the streetcar. It was predicted. We had a company called Municap we hired to scrub our funding model for the streetcar. They were in town for like 9 months. They looked at every parcel along the streetcar line, and they estimated that in the next 15 years, we would have $2 billion worth of development along the streetcar line. We'll have 1.2 by the end of this year, and it hasn't even started construction. So I think when we just got to continue getting the message out about this development that we said that will happen, that will really pay for the streetcar entirely, it's happening, and it's happening quickly, and it's happening already.
Mayor, you said you want to cut the tax levy again in 2025?
I will, if the city council approves it.
Governor Pillen has been saying that the problem with governmental units is spending, and he's talking about 3% spending caps across the state. Can you cap spending at 3% for the city of Omaha?
Yes, I think I can. And the thing of it is, and I've talked to the governor a lot about this, we have, if you look at the history of the city of Omaha, our year-over-year spending has been, I've tried to keep it 4% or less, but our revenue, actually, we have 10-year period where our revenue increase sometimes isn't even 1%. Sometimes it's around 1%. The average is much lower than 3%. Our average year-over-year revenue increase. And when that happens, we quit spending. That's what we do. We don't spend. We try to modify the budget as much as we can so we can live within those revenues that we get in the city. Now, the last couple years, we've had a real boost in what our revenue is, much more than the average is. And when we get that boost, what we do is we buy things then that we couldn't buy before because we were conserving. Buy things like new fire trucks and new medic units and new snow plows. These are the things that we buy when we have the revenue to do it. But our average is less than 3%. And so, yes, we could live with that. There has to be some caps removed if we can live with that all the time. Throughout every year, throughout our good times and bad times, because we want to continue growth. So I would like to see like our debt payment out of that, to have an exception for debt payment. I want to be able to pay our debt. You know, I want to be able to continue to grow like we annex and we grow our city. And that is one way to reduce taxes and keep them down is you broaden your tax base. You broaden your tax base, you can bring your taxes down because more people are paying. And so, you know, those are the things that we have done. And I've talked to the governor many times about it. If it's 3%, the revenue cap is 3%, we'll make it work. But there has to be some exceptions that are lifted.
A couple of years ago, a lot was made of time you were spending outside of the city. You concerned that whoever runs against you is going to make that an issue?
No, I'm not concerned, and they will make it an issue. I'm certain of that. If you look at my first 2 terms, people would say, don't you ever take a vacation or take a break. I hardly went out of town at all the first 2 terms. And yes, I did take some extra time. I had a husband that died of suicide. I had a 95-year-old mom that I was trying to move out of her home in St. Louis. My sister and I spent many days in the hot summer with a dumpster in her front yard trying to clear her house out. So for myself and my family, I did take some extra time off. And I don't think anybody could fault me for that. And so have I taken a lot of time off since then? No, I haven't. I really haven't. So, and they could look at that. They could look any time and see what my time away. But when I am away from Omaha, I am still engaged. I still talk to the police chief every day. I still talk to my staff every day, and I still know what's going on. So, you know, somebody will bring that up. I'll admit I did take some time off, but I had a reason to take it off, and I don't think anybody could fault me for the reasons that I did.
So will you be in town more if you get reelected?
Chris Burbach, I'm in town all the time. So to say I'm gone a lot is really ridiculous. It really is. So, and I do my job. I'm down at City Hall all the time. If you remember, I had a spinal fusion and back surgery, and I was back to work in my office in a week. So I don't think anybody could say I'm gone too much. And I have never not done my job or neglected my job. Other questions?
Is there anything that you haven't done the last 3 years that you want to push forward in your next term should you win?
You know, I just think that, again, continuing the momentum and all of these projects that I mentioned that have already started, I want to see them through to the end. And there are a lot of other projects, obviously, that I know about, that I'm working with developers about, that we haven't even mentioned or had an announcement yet. And they're coming soon. So there's so much momentum and so much we're involved with and so much that my staff and I are working on. I want to see these things through. But again, I mean, I always have goals. I want Omaha to remain a safe city. You know, when people come from out of town, the one thing, and like during the College World Series, the one thing I hear the most is I feel so safe here and it's so clean here. And they always say if a mayor can make a city safe and it's clean, get the garbage picked up, the streets cleaned, you're doing pretty good. So, and I hear that a lot about Omaha. And when we talk about public safety and we talk about our crime rate here, it is so under control now because of our great police department and the job they're doing. And we've done a lot of work with that. You know, since I've been mayor, we've budgeted 100 more police officers than we had before. We've expanded the gang unit. We've done a lot with our mental health co-responder program. We added a new precinct out in Elkhorn. We've done things that have been talked about for years and years and years, and that is all showing with these low crime rates now. So I'm very proud of the work that the Omaha Police Department does, but you've got to continue on with it. Right now, we're 100 officers low, and that is not good. And we are trying our best by increased salaries and increased recruiting to build that up again, because it won't last forever if we're running that short. So these things are always on my mind, and we will continue to work on those. Other questions?
Mayor, you talked about, you praised Chief Stothert, not just today, but quite often. You talked about the restaurant tax. Both those were left to you by Jim Stothert. Mm-hmm. They were kind of party gifts from the Stothert administration. Do you ever wonder what you'd do without those party gifts?
No. No. You know, I mean, it is what it is. I ran for mayor, and I accept what the legacy, what had happened before me, and I knew what I needed to do to make Omaha a better city. So, the restaurant tax was passed while I was on the city council. Obviously, everyone knows I voted against it. If you recall, during those conversations with the restaurant tax, we wanted to put, it was $13.5 million more in the fire and police pension. It was estimated that this increase, this 2.5 penny on the restaurant tax increase, would generate about $14 million worth of new revenue. That's what it was estimated, $14 million. So it would just about cover what the additional funds we needed. Now, it doesn't say anything in the restaurant tax ordinance that all of that money goes to the fire and police pension. It doesn't even mention it. It's an occupation tax, and all occupation tax go into the general fund. And like I said before, now it's generating $42 million a year, much more than the $14 million we thought. All that money goes into the general fund. We're paying the extra money that we committed to the fire and police pension, but there's no reason to put it all in the fire and police pension. It goes to fund everything else. And like I said before, if you add the budget for the fire department, the police department, that's 2/3 of our entire budget. So if we took $42 million out, who's it going to hurt the most? The biggest part of the budget, it'll affect fire and police the most. And that is a move I will not make. Other questions? You guys are pretty quiet back there today. Any questions from anybody in the audience?
How can we help your campaign?
Well, thank you for asking that. Campaigns are always difficult. I never take anything for granted. I work really, really hard at all of them, and I will with this one too. I will say that to most of you that we probably won't really start vigorously campaigning until January, because there is a May primary and a November election that people are focused on and need to be focused on now. As you all know, the city elections are independent. They will be an April primary, and about 5 weeks later, there will be a May general election, and then you take office again in June. And so it's fast and furious. All 7 city council members are up at the same time. So we can all use your volunteer help and just spreading the word, like we always ask you to do. We'll be out there knocking on doors just like we always did, and doing everything that we feel like we need to do to get the word out and to ask people for their votes. And so we could use all of your help like we always do, and we always appreciate all of that help.
I thought you were going to say write a bigger check.
Right, big checks are always helpful too. There's no doubt about that. Oh, and I'm going to say something. I'm surprised you didn't ask, because my campaign account is open to the public to see what's in there. You look at the NADC, you could see what I have in there, and I certainly don't have the amount I had when I ran for my 3rd term, and that is because I was unsure whether I was going to run for a 4th term, and I didn't want to keep on doing fundraisers, asking people for money if I wasn't going to use it. But fundraising is something that I gotta say, I enjoy doing it. I mean, it's part of having a campaign. You need money to run it, and what we will do between now and the end of the year is we will have some fundraisers and build that account up. But I have a lot of supporters and a lot of people that will continue to be supporters, and I called quite a few people yesterday that are my bigger supporters and told them what I was doing today, and there wasn't one person that didn't say, we're on board. So I think raising the money will be something that will take a time and effort, but we certainly will do it, and we will raise enough money to run a very good, strong campaign.
When did you decide to run?
When did I decide to run?
A month ago, a week ago?
No, I would say, I've thought about it this whole term, whether this 3rd term, whether I wanted to do a 4th term or not. I think the decision to absolutely do it was probably a matter of 3 or 4 months ago, that I really just working on daily, every day, day after day, working on all of these things we have going on and seeing the success and seeing the progress. Your first 4 years as mayor, you can talk about your vision you have, and I did, talked about what my vision was, but you can't get all of this done in 4 years. You just can't. And, you could be working with the philanthropic community and working with the developers, but you can't get it all done in 4 years. And that's why the trusted, experienced leadership is so important. Because, there's no risk with me. Everybody knows what kind of mayor I am, how I govern, what I will be as far as taxes, what I'll be conservative with. You know that already with me. And I think we just got to keep this momentum going. And so the more I thought about it, I thought, you know what? We got to keep the momentum going. There's a lot of great things in the pipeline now that'll be announced soon. And I'm the person to get it done. And I thought, I want to run again. Yes, yes.
I think it's important to put this momentum in context where interest rates and construction costs were had construction starts down 80% across the country. So thank you for that.
Yeah, in construction, I mean, we all know it that are involved in a lot of these projects, and construction cost has gone up significantly. Parking garages, we build parking garages a lot because we pay for it with the revenue that it produces. And I recall when I was first mayor, 2013, parking garage was an average of maybe $24,000 a stall. It's more than doubled that now. And some parking garages even more than that. And so that's just an example of the increased cost. But our job is to work with the developers to get these things done. And, as a city, sometimes we have to say no, but I've got such a great department. Dave Fansel has done such a great job in planning, and they have the attitude now, if we have to say no, we're going to say, but let us help you figure out a way to get this done. And, we build garages, we do infrastructure, we do roads, we do whatever we can to make these developments work. Like the Crossroads, we just have a brand new higher density design for the Crossroads. And I like the way it looks a lot, but we've done a lot of infrastructure for that already. It helps some of these big projects be more affordable for the developer. And so the city has been engaged. I mean, every department right now, I think is so engaged. Parks Department is really engaged now with what we're doing up at Levi Carter Park, in our park, the sports facility out at Tranquility. I mean, these are things that you just don't see that often, and now there's multiple things going on. That's because we have great directors in all of our departments. And you know what? All of the directors, except city attorney, fire chief, and police chief, are hired at the mayor's, they call it at the mayor's will. And a new mayor could come in and say, you're all gone. I'm going to hire somebody new. And that's an important thing to keep in mind, too. We really have got a momentum going and a good thing going with these people that are working for the city now and working for you now. And I want to see them stay there. Any other questions? Hal Daub, I'm surprised.
You're terrific. We're glad you're running again.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. All right, thank you.